Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Couch GMs podcast. It is Thursday, December 4th, 2025. I'm your host, George Kurt, joined by the one and only Cody Roadcap. Good to be back with you, Cody. Missed you on Monday.
Absolutely. I really appreciated Kempy hopping on. We had some great conversations. We had some fan interactions, which are always great. But it is just something different when it's me and you here talking about week 14 already.
So fast.
Last of the week of the regular season in fantasy football. Last week of the regular season for the Couch GMs World Cup, which is going to come down to the wire. A lot of great things to talk about on this week's episode.
Yes, there is. I mean, crazy. I was starting to put red marks on people in the World Cup. I'm like, I feel like we just started this league and now we're at the end of year 3. Like, not only did this year go fast, it feels like everything went fast.
Yeah, man. The NFL's 365 and the cycle just continues and it blows by before you know it. And only a couple more weeks left.
Couple more weeks left. We have a lot to talk about and a lot of hopefully help for you guys in your fantasy leagues. If you're trying to get in, if you're trying to prepare for the fantasy playoffs, we'd love to hear your questions. So make sure you follow us at the Couch GMs, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok to get even more than you do from the show. You can DM us there with questions. You can drop comments on any of our posts, or you can join us Mondays and Thursdays at 6:30 East on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch to get your questions answered live right here. If you are here, make sure you drop a sub and a like, and you can drop your questions in the comments, and Cody and I'll hit them as we go. In the meantime, why don't we see what's happening?
All right, before you do that, I'm going to hijack you one thing, just to add on to your beautiful rendition of, what's happening on the Couch GMs. But you mentioned Monday and Thursday. That's twice a week. That doesn't end when the fantasy football season ends. We're here twice a week, all the way through the Super Bowl until the week after. Then we typically take a break and we'll catch you guys all update with that. But I wanted you guys to know that just because the fantasy football season, regular season is wrapping up, we're not going anywhere. But now I can hit my button.
I was going to be a little mad when I'm like, he said I did this so well, and I was going to go fill something in. No, that was good. I appreciate that.
Now, I didn't want to cut you off, but I thought about it. I was like, hey, let's just remind people that this is not just a twice a week thing. Like, we'll help you out if you're doing DFS. Like, we transition a little bit less fantasy, obviously, because fantasy, starts to slow up here, but we talk about the games, more NFL content. It's a great time, and we hope everyone joins us.
Definitely. We'll do some more DFS showdowns throughout the playoffs as well, like we did similar to last week on Wednesday, where I actually almost said Wednesday because I didn't change our rundown, which is funny. And I'm sure Cody and I are going to have a status update on what we're going to do for shows on the week of Christmas as well, because of that falling on a Thursday. But anyway, what is happening? Big news when it comes to the MetLife turf and even other turf fields. The NFL and NFLPA are working together on a mandate to start in 2028 that is going to make teams have more specific guidelines on what surfaces they can use. If it's artificial turf, they're going to have pre-approved, brands or types of turf, and then obviously natural grass encouraged. But it sounds like they're going to keep artificial but make it very strict.
Yeah, they said artificial's not going anywhere. So some stadiums will still have artificial, but it'll be more rugged tests. It sounds very similar to the helmets, right? Like we talked about this with Aaron Rodgers at the beginning of the year. Like he finally had to change the helmet that he's been wearing, and it really upset him. And it seems like they're kind of doing a similar process with fields. You might start to see teams lean towards grass and whatnot over the upcoming weeks. But I'm sure like MetLife, because there's two teams that support it, it will still be an artificial turf, just hold up to more guidelines. And 2028 seems like a far time away, but it'll be here before you know it. And the only other thing I wanted to add for this is in the article, I find it fascinating because the Super Bowl will be at the very end. The Super Bowl is being played in San Francisco, and they talked a little bit about the field surface in San Francisco and how that they've been growing a new field surface for 18 months outside of San Francisco that they're going to replace mid-January for the Super Bowl or later if the 49ers are hosting the NFC Championship game. So just a fun, fascinating thing how the Super Bowl gets this super big treatment on the same article that we're talking about how we need to mandate fields. Just a fun little fact. Definitely check it out.
No, it's very true. And I mean, we've seen this before too in Arizona a few years ago. They already wheel their fields out and grow them outside and then wheel them in to play on, which is already unique compared to a lot of other stadiums. But they actually did grow a specific field for the Super Bowl a few years ago. And I remember players actually had some concerns about it because it seemed a little slick, but this isn't the first time we've heard of this. So that's the thing I'm going to get, trying to get the point out here. Can I make an argument towards New York? Why do they need a artificial really quick?
Yeah.
So they're a cold weather team. I know when you get to the, December, January, it's tough to maintain grass, but they're not the only team that has multiple teams playing on a surface, even at this time of year. Like, I'm even just going to use Philly as an example because I know it. Not only do the Eagles play there, they also have college football playing in that stadium as well. So I don't quite understand how them having two teams there immediately makes it we can't support natural grass.
No, that is a valid argument. It's not just Philly. It's, Pittsburgh, they're natural too.
That's true.
They have a team outside. I know they got some pushback because of, they were even having, not even every other week or once a week. They were having, Pittsburgh play Saturday college and then the football team play on Sunday. And there were some field concerns. So field sharing is definitely a thing. So maybe MetLife will get there. Maybe once I do think it's interesting by 2028 and you have the, the World Cup coming up this summer and a lot of teams have already said that they're going to switch over to grass. I wonder if they just keep it that way. And then this is kind of like, well, we're mandated to have a different surface. We already did this one. Now it'll have to be, but that's some inside conspiracies that we'll have to let play out. Maybe in an off-season episode, we'll do a conspiracy theory NFL edition.
It'd be wild to me if they switch that to grass for soccer and then decide to switch it right back to turf before football season. But that's just me.
Wouldn't be surprised though.
I wouldn't either, but it's wild.
Alrighty. You want to talk through some of the big injuries that we have happening as we head into week 14?
Yes. So some things we know more about than others. The first one on here, and maybe the biggest surprise still, Jaden Daniels upgraded to a full participant in practice on Thursday this week. Still no word if he's going to be cleared for contact and cleared to play. They're still waiting for the doctors on that, but it seems like everything else he's able to do. So we're just waiting for that approval. And if he is out there and available, go snatch him. Like, he's actually under 60% owned at NFL.com after everything that's happened. And I almost was smart and just like put him in my streams just to be like, hey, but I figured I'd just mention it here because we're not sure if he's playing.
Yeah, I'm still, and me and Kempy talked about this on Monday, which I'm sure you heard because you listen to every episode religiously, even when you're not on. We just wondered if we're getting to the point where like Jaden Daniels just gets shut down. Like he never actually officially gets cleared for contact. And that's kind of like the thing that holds him back because they seem pretty far out of it at this point, just because of the amount of injuries that, took place over the course of the season. But I would be surprised if he plays this week, but I've been surprised and wrong before, and Jaden Daniels could be a superhuman.
He could be. It helps that obviously it's his non-throwing arm, and somehow, even though his elbow went in the completely wrong direction, he didn't tear anything. Like, all the things already don't make sense. But I feel like if they were trying to lean towards he wasn't going to play, he never would have logged a full participation in practice. Maybe this is just me overthinking it. Maybe they're just trying to appease Jaden Daniels because obviously still a young guy, trying to get him some work. He did express the want to get back out there if he possibly can. I feel like it personally makes sense for them to not fire him up. And it makes even less sense than like with the Bengals when we already said, why were they firing Joe Burrow up? But here we are.
That's a good point. But the Bengals aren't dead.
But Washington pretty much is. So it's even worse than that case.
But speaking of quarterback injuries, Justin Herbert, you probably have heard by now, he underwent a hand surgery on his also non-throwing hand. But he went under the knife this past week. Still unclear if he's going to play Monday. He seems like he wants to play. And that is the big thing, though, with this one, is it's a Monday. How are you going to react? Not just with Justin Herbert, the weapons around him. I think at the end of the day, it's pretty hard pressed to play 1 week after having a surgery. Like, I don't think it's going to be a long-term thing, but I'm in the mindset, and I'm going into week 14, which you kind of have to because it's the last game of the the season that Justin Herbert isn't going to play. And if he does, I'll be surprised. That might affect some of my decisions. I can talk about that in a little bit, and I'll just have to live with those if they come back to bite me.
Yeah, it's I'm the only nice thing is we're still going to get a final injury report on Saturday. So if he's ruled out early, then we have plenty of time to adjust. If they mark him as questionable, then we get to play the guessing game. And it's tough to say. Like, I would totally rule out Quentin Johnson. I'd totally rule out Keenan Allen. Ladd's a tough one. I don't think I'd play Gadsden. And then we have the running back situation too, where Omarion Hampton's trending towards playing, which would knock out Vidal. But do you even play Hampton with a backup quarterback just coming off injury? We don't know what the split's going to be. Like, there's so many questions for a team that's been very helpful in fantasy so far coming into such a key week.
Yeah, I mean, the running back would still be in play for me. I do feel like it could be more of a split with the first game back, get him some reps that like you might be able to play both. It is also worth noting that Jalen Carter is going to miss some time as well. Their key piece in the middle of the Eagles defense, who they're going up against. George is sweating bullets in his head on which
they only
team to
gave
root
up
for.
300 rushing yards to the Bears last week and then lost their best DT.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like the running backs I feel like are going to have to be, especially against John Harbaugh. I think they might even, if they go both even being playable. But I think Hampton would, slowly, it could be the similar, situation we've seen before, 1-2 weeks. It's a split and Hampton just slowly gets more and more acclimated back into it as we get closer to the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. And it's good for if you're locked in and you're a Hampton owner and you have that now ramp up period. Tough if you're somebody who needs to rely on him this week, but I think I'm also with you leaning towards you could play him. And then I think I'm leaning away from Vidal. You could in a pinch. I know there's some other guys that are either on bye. We still have 4 buys this week or, in banged up. But it's still tough for me to project that offense doing well without Justin Herbert at quarterback. The Eagles defense had that bad week, but they've actually been the lifeblood of the Eagles team so far. So it's tough to just expect them to be falling apart like this. The Bears just had a formula to beat it, and maybe it's something that the Chargers can replicate, but I'm not sure. I can't talk today. I'm sorry, Cody.
It's all good. That's just me every day of my life. So
cool.
Yeah, the Chargers, it's just going to be a tough situation to monitor. And if you have questions, listen to this on the podcast after we're live. Feel free to shoot us a DM if you're debating between certain players. Another big name, Drake London, has a chance to play this week. I know he was a little banged up as well. And I know for inside baseball people, me and George have a big matchup in our league of record where basically I have to win to make the playoffs. George basically has the playoffs locked, but he still has a chance to fall out of it if he does lose. And earlier this year, we had a Drake London for Josh Jacobs trade, both players coming into this week a little bit banged up, but London getting a chance to play would be a big boost, not just for the Falcons, but for you, although he has not been the same player.
Not for me.
Kirk Cousins.
I flipped him, sir.
Oh, that's right. You did flip him. I forgot.
Javonte Williams and George Kittle are going.
Yes. So not for you. So I did that whole story for a trade that I forgot happened. Anyways, London has a chance to play.
Funny enough, who was on Monday. So,
and then, but London has the chance to play, although he has not been as, heavily as used or as targeted with Kirk Cousins as Michael Penix. But that whole Falcons offense has just been abysmal over the last couple of weeks. It
has. It's like Kirk comes in, I badmouth them. Kirk does well one week. I come back on it. Kirk goes back to being very inconsistent. But he hasn't had London the last 2 weeks. So it's tough to say there shouldn't be improvement in that offense if London comes back. London's definitely someone that can jump right back in your lineup. He's been very good. The only problem with him this year has been staying healthy. So we just got to hope he stays on the field the rest of the year.
And he plays Seattle.
That's also tough. But I mean, if 2 people on that team are going to be matchup proof, it's going to be Drake London and Bijan Robinson. I mean, Bijan's been inconsistent too, but not somebody you're taking out of your lineup. Yeah. Also, it's Pitts' year.
It's always Pitts' year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tough to root for the Falcons. What's the next injury you got on the list?
I got a fan question next, actually, if you want to do that.
Yeah, that's fine. Of
Cool.
course.
All right. I need a boom in the flex this week. Am I crazy to start Isaac Tisla tonight or over Travis Etienne in a full PPR?
I think you need to wait 15 more minutes, and you'll find out for sure if Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to go. From what I could tell, it sounds like he's going to give it a shot. So I don't think I'm going. If he plays, I'm definitely not playing Isaac Tesla over Travis Etienne. I get wanting a boost, but actually, this Cowboys defense has been much better over the last 3 weeks since they acquired Quentin Williams. They were trending upwards, and they've gotten a lot better. And this is a big game, so I think I'm playing Travis Etienne probably both ways, even if Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't go.
Amon-Ra
But if he
officially
does,
in, actually, according to Twitter right now. So
okay. So perfect. That was some breaking news. I'll
yeah.
hit the bumper. There we go. I don't get to hit that one very often. Amon-Ra is in. That means Tesla, I'm not playing him. Go Travis Etienne. Maybe some of the guys we talk about in the start sits might be a little bit bigger home run hits, but I think Etienne, that matchup against the Colts, they're falling down a little bit. The Jags get that. They basically control the AFC South, so big game for them as well.
Yeah, I agree. I'd go ETN. I would have thought about Tisla if there was no Amon-Ra, but not a question for me in this case. Even if he ends up playing limited, I just don't want to take that risk of like, if Amon-Ra is going to go, good chance he's going to gut it out.
Yeah.
Next thing out on here, we have T. Higgins, who is expected to clear concussion protocol this week. Another boost for the Bengals, who are still on this big run in a tough matchup this week against the Bills.
Definitely. I also think Tesla, I'd have to look this up, but if I remember correctly, only has 5, maybe 6 catches on the season.
I mean, next man up, I think he did do decent last week.
He caught his 5th catch for his 3rd touchdown.
I mean, in fantasy, sometimes that's all you need.
But not for a big boom. Like,
No,
I get this. I'm not criticizing. I get the thought process. No, I'm Ross St. Brown. No, Sam Laporta. Okay, maybe that. Cowboys defense was giving up a lot of points beginning of the year. Like, I get the process, but it just feels a little bit too rich, especially now that we know Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to go.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, most of the game without Amon-Ra last game, and he had 2 targets, 2 catches for 35 and a touchdown. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think there's some other guys, if you keep tuning in here, that we're going to mention down the pipe here that might be more boom plays, but I don't think you're in a bad spot with ETN anyway.
All right. Now back to injuries.
T. Higgins, clearing concussion protocol?
Yep. You talked about that.
Cool. Arizona in a very interesting spot this week. We had DNPs from Marvin Harrison and Greg Dortch. Obviously, then lining up for a big game for Michael Wilson again. And then 6 days left in the practice window for Trey Benson. And he has now missed 5 straight practices after coming back limited, now going back down to DNP for 5 straight. Looking like it might be a Bam Night rest of season kind of situation.
Yeah, the Trey Benson one definitely stings. Just based on their record where they're at right now, situationally not practicing. I mean, there's still time, but if he doesn't, like start to turn the corner quick, I think he'll get shut down.
It's not often we see somebody get a practice window open and then not be activating it shut down, but this feels like one of those cases with Young back on a team that's out of it, even though he's not the starter. So anyone out there who maybe some people drop Bam Knight knowing that there was something on the horizon. I know he hasn't been an exciting play. He's somebody you should definitely go add, as he might be somebody to play down the stretch if you're desperate for a flex with injuries or whatever it might be. I know there was a situation in a league where I dropped Bam for Benson, really quickly went back on that move. Luckily, he cleared waivers and we're all good. But
yeah, definitely a tough little stretch here for the Cardinals. The Marvin Harrison, transition to him too. Not getting back from that appendix, which is not, unheard of, but definitely stinks for him after he seemed like he was starting to finally break some rust off or some yips, whatever you want to call it.
Hopefully, we're
Just
seeing a
stuff
big
up.
year out of him next year, but we're not sure what his quarterback situation is going to be like.
His quarterback next year is going to be Mac Jones. I'm just kidding. Mac Jones is going to be the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings.
That I could see.
So,
I mean, that's all I've got then for injuries, Cody. If there's anything else you want to add, drop it in.
No, there's no. Only other injury I'll add in there is it does seem like Jaden Reed is trending to come off of IR.
Oh.
But I think that I assume it'll be starting out with some limited snaps and just add more complications to that Packers backfield. But figured I'd throw that one up there. And then Matthew Golden, the same thing.
Love to see it because the Packers like running out 5 guys who they'll just use all of them.
Which is a great strategy in the NFL. Not great for fantasy.
No, it is not. But for fantasy, why don't we talk about some starts and sits of the week? Four buys, final week of bye weeks in the final week of the fantasy regular season. Panthers, Patriots, 49ers, and Giants not going. Couple big names in there, especially some guys like Christian McCaffrey, which is why I have a fantasy PSA for you all, because I did not even know this until this week. When I woke up on Tuesday, went to check some standings to see where I am in playoff contention, found out that I'm in a league where the playoffs start this week. For anybody out there who have fantasy playoffs that start in week 14, either leave the league or tell your commissioner to change it, because there should not be fantasy playoffs while teams are still on bye. That just hurts.
Okay. I agree. But I'm just going to ask the other question. Okay. Because I know we're not the biggest fans of it, but a lot of people like 2-week championships.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather have the first round of the playoffs, week 14, when there's 4 teams on bye, but you know it all season and can prepare for it, or get to the second week of your championship and have that be on the last week of the season where half the teams are sitting players and you don't know who's going to start and make it more complicated?
If your league is like set on the 2-week championship, I guess week 14 is your best option. Because, at least like you said, you could prepare for it and it. Like in week 18, it's a crapshoot. But I think the argument on both sides of this is the argument for why the 2-week championship doesn't make sense unless you have a 4-team playoff.
Yeah. I mean, the right answer is don't do either of these.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you really want to do the double week final round, have it be, like you said, a smaller playoff pool that you don't need to go to the extra week.
There's ever since they expanded the season to 17 games and, changed with the bye weeks and everything else, they basically defined like your fantasy playoffs must be between 15 and 17. It's very hard to get around. I feel like in the past it was easier because with the smaller schedule, I don't think week 14 had buys, or at least not every year.
No, I don't think they did. I felt like the buys were between only went to week 12 because then around week 13 was Thanksgiving and then everyone was back after.
Yeah. So it was easier to manipulate your schedule a little bit, but no, now with how they have it played out, it's just impossible to have more than 3 weeks of playoff.
Yeah.
Fairly.
And we're going to get to 18 games soon, and then you guys can go back to having you can have your week 15 playoff start with your double championship. So
we'll see. If there ends up being double buys like some teams want, that would make things very complicated.
All right. You want to do a fan question before we start laming our starts and sits?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So who would you put for my wide receiver 2, 3, and flex spot? He has Devontae Adams as wide receiver 1, Javonte Taylor and Josh Jacobs as running back RB1 and RB2. So those places are set. He has Travion Henderson on bye, Charbonnet at running back as well. His other wide receivers are Addison, Myers, Deebo Samuel, Quentin Johnston. At tight end, Jermaine Johnson. I think.
Juwan Johnson.
Sorry, Jermaine is a pass rusher.
Yeah.
See, the J Johnson threw me off because so many names went through there. Zach Ertz, George Kittle, but also on bye. He also added some more content. Should he throw in Zach Ertz as the second, tight end spot with Jermaine? Yeah, nope. Juwan Johnson in the flex or Charbonnet. And then he also mentioned there's guys like Booty, Singletary, Mason, Vele, Adonai Mitchell, or Emmanuel Wilson off waivers. So a lot thrown at us.
Yeah.
It's great. Appreciate all the detail. It makes it a lot easier to sit in this situation. The Travion Henderson on bye definitely stings, especially with George Kittle as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think for this one, and there's not a name on your waiver wire that is sticking out to me. Like that's the guy I would go out and pick up. The first person I'm putting in my lineup is Jacoby Myers. Him in Jacksonville has, started to become like the top target. Brian Thomas hasn't done much as he's come back from Christian Parker. Names are hard. Has, coming off an injury as well. So I think Myers goes into your wide receiver 2 spot, and then you're down to your flex. On paper, I think Deebo Samuel is like the name that would be surprising to pull, but he has not had the best season. We've talked about the struggles of the Commanders. We don't know if it's going to be Mariota or Jaden Daniels. With that said, I think I still lean him over going double tight ends.
He needs 2 receivers and a flex, by the way.
Oh, he needs 2 receivers and a flex.
Yeah.
I missed the 3. All right, so Deebo's in your lineup then.
Yeah, I agree. So it's Myers and Deebo's locks.
Yeah.
Personally, then I would not go double tight end either. I would probably drop, I guess, Ertz. And I would personally say add Mitchell as the guy who would go off waivers because he's kind of been on the rise. But I would probably end up leaning Jordan Mason if we hear there's no Aaron Jones.
Yeah, but the Vikings, they're just bad.
Jordan Addison is not somebody I can put in my lineup until I see more consistent quarterback play. But I hate dropping him because I know the ceilings there. I mean, we saw earlier this year he had multiple straight weeks with 17 points and half PPR.
Yeah. I think I'm with you. I would probably, I know Ertz just had a huge game, and Minnesota, that's another tough part about it. So like if you're convicted in playing Ertz, I just don't know if I love playing Ertz and Deebo in the same matchup or in the same game. So I'd probably agree with George. Drop Ertz, add Mitchell, Jordan Mason if Aaron Jones doesn't go. Even then, I still might add Mitchell just because the Vikings offense is horrendous right now.
Yeah. Okay. So we're pretty much in lockstep. Good luck with that. I mean, I think your biggest question mark, at least out of the receivers, is Deebo. So hopefully you get a good game out of him. I think they're really committed to putting Terry McLaurin in the spotlight. We've seen it every time he comes back off of the injury. He gets double-digit targets, and he did it again last week. But there's still space there for Deebo. It's just not as explosive. It ends up being Mariota at quarterback.
All righty. Another fan question here, and we're just going to tie this right in to it. Hi, guys. Is JMO still playable with Amon-Ra active? Yes. Podolskis? I don't know how to pronounce your name. Thanks for watching us on Twitch. But Jamison Williams, even if he wasn't, but we didn't get there in time, is still my start of the week. Look, Amon-Ra Brown is great. He is dealing with an ankle injury that originally was going to be a 1 to 2 week miss. He's turning that around and playing in 4 days. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be on the field. He's definitely going to still get his targets. He hasn't practiced all week. I think this passing game is still going to run through Jamison Williams this week. And then Amon-Ra will be the crucial third down. Maybe where he gets you is he steals the touchdown in the red zone. But I think JMO, you saw him kind of have a pretty good. I don't know breakout game because he's been a good player. He's had some big games in the past, but being that number one guy, you saw him targeted a lot and often. And I think that's how they practice this week, and he should still be good to go.
Yeah, if I had to bet, it's going to be JMO number one in the game plan, and Ahmed Ra's out there as a decoy and gets like those wide receiver 2 targets. If it happens the other way, I'll be shocked. But I mean, at the same time, like JMO still has that big playability where even if he gets 5 targets and he breaks that long touchdown, you're not going to regret it. I think he's still a solid play.
No. All right. So that was my start at wide receiver. For starts and sits, remember, do a wide receiver, running back, and a flex. Flex doesn't mean the position. It just means we can pick one. We typically start with running backs, but the question just teed us up so perfectly. So, George, who is your start at wide receiver?
A guy I never thought I would have on this segment, maybe at least for a long time. I think you stick with Justin Jefferson. The matchup's good. He's getting back McCarthy. That is not exciting, but it's better than Bosmer. And yeah, I mean, Bosmer had the worst quarterback performance of all time for the Jets if he was on the Jets, and that just shows how bad it was because the Jets haven't had starting quarterbacks ever.
Well, I mean, that's not fair. That depends.
That was also the weirdest stat I saw last week, by the way. It was like, if Bosmer played for the Jets, this was the worst quarterback performance ever. It's like, where do you get this from?
Yeah, because, I mean, yeah, I don't even understand that at all. But it was rough going into Seattle, undrafted rookie first game on the road. JJ McCarthy hasn't been great. The Vikings are in trouble. I mean, it's probably been hard for anybody to sit Justin Jefferson because you feel like at any given week they're just like, F it, Jefferson's down there somewhere and they're just going to pepper him with targets like you saw Joe Flacco do with Jamar Chase. That hasn't happened. Maybe that's something that McCarthy has worked on while he recovered from his concussion. So it is wild to see him in this start-sit conversation.
It is. And he hasn't been peppered with the targets, but I will say minimum of 6, and that was the last few weeks. He normally gets between 9 and 12. Guy between 9 and 12 targets with the skill set of Jefferson, despite his quarterback. Like in the past, it's been good. And this year it feels so different because it just hasn't been put together. But I have to believe there's still a shot. So in a lot of cases, I'm still going with the stud and having the faith that they're going to figure it out at the right time.
All right. I'll go back to running back here. And this one could be a surprise, and maybe, you saw what they did last week. I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift from the Chicago Bears against the Green Bay Packers. Now, you might be like, can they really do 2 100-yard rushers again against the Green Bay defense? Probably not. It also probably doesn't help that although he did move from DNP to limited, Kyle Monangai is a little bit banged up on the injury report. That should favor him as well. I think it's going to be cold. They're going to want to run the ball. The Bears do have a good offensive line, and the Packers lost their best defensive tackle to a season-ending injury on Thanksgiving as well. So they're going, and when he missed a little bit, couple games earlier in the season with an injury, that's when you saw the run defense being a little bit more palpable and being able to be ran on. So I like DeAndre Swift this week, even though you're going to see a red matchup against the Green Bay Packers.
See, I can't agree with you in this one. And it's funny that the Packers fan is the one who believes that they're going to find a little bit of rushing space against them. I think people are going to be super high on DeAndre Swift. Even without Monangai, I guess that helps. But I was debating putting him as a sit because of how good they've been. And it like basically makes him touchdown dependent in my mind, which obviously very good chance he gets a touchdown. Not a whole lot of guys are getting touchdowns on that offense right now, especially through the passing game, because Bears fans aren't ready to hear this, but Caleb Williams isn't playing well. But DeAndre Swift just feels very wishy-washy in a bad running back matchup.
I hear you. I just think as the Packers fan, the impact of losing Devontae Wyatt, which if you're not a Packers fan, you're probably like, who? In the middle. The Packers might get Quay Walker at linebacker back, which could help as well. And I think Monangai ultimately ends up playing. I don't think he's going to miss, which actually would help your case better. But he's just a little bit banged up. But I'm going to ride with Swift and see what happens.
All right. Agree to disagree. I'm going to go to Denver. I'm going to go RJ Harvey in his matchup against Vegas. I mean, touches are there, and Vegas is an amazing matchup. It's basically the whole reason I've got for throwing him onto this spot.
No, I like that one a lot. The last one we debated, that one I have no.
Someone who people don't have a lot of faith in yet, so he's definitely worth like the put his name out there. You're fine to play him.
All right, for my flex one, I'm going deep.
Okay.
All right, and this guy is not a. You're going to see starts of the week, and this is not a bro. Put him in over guys that have been working. However, I am going to say you can play Chris Rodriguez this week against the Minnesota Vikings. Talk about how bad their offense is. Their defense likes to blitz a lot. They're aggressive, but they've been on the field a good amount. He's seen over 10 carries in 3 of his last 4 games. He has touchdowns in 3 of his last 5 games, or 4 games. Excuse me, they had a bye week in there. Can't count. He is the guy that has seemed to be a little bit more consistent. You know, what we hoped Bill would be, it seemed to be in Chris Rodriguez. And I think you continue to play him this week if you are missing a Rico Dowdle, Chuba Hubbard, and Travion Henderson, and a Christian McCaffrey. Like, there's a lot of running backs out this week, so you might have to go a little bit deeper. So I'm going to throw his name out there.
I like it. And it's somebody who's flown under the radar because people were so heavy on Bill being the starter. And then when we realized that he wasn't really breaking out from the crowd, it wasn't like who's next in Washington. It was like no one can be played in Washington. And that's not necessarily true because Chris Rodriguez has been kind of right there on the brink of like a fantasy type, a flex type player.
Yeah. Who's on your flex?
My flex is Chris Olave against Tampa Bay. So dealing with a back injury, make sure he comes back and plays. He was limited in practice on Thursday, so it's looking good. He played through this last week and seemed fine. Tampa Bay is not as good against the pass as you think they would be. There's 22nd, so right around that green matchup line. And Chris Olave, 10 or more half PPR points every week since week 5, except for week 9 against the Rams. Like, he's just been a steady force. Doesn't matter who his quarterback is. And that's without scoring a lot of touchdowns, too. So I think the upside's still there.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. I know it's like you're looking at your list outside the running back. It's like, really, Justin Jefferson, Chris Olave, those are your starts. But the way the year has been, I get why they're up there. But we can pivot over to the sit category, and I'll start with running back. And this one's going to sting. And you might not be like I mentioned, there's a lot of running backs on bye. You might not be in a situation where you can do this. But anywhere I have them, except my one dynasty league, which there's because I have no players, I'm sitting Ashton Genty versus Denver. That defense is really good. The Raiders' offense is terrible. They don't know what they're doing. And I'm not playing Ashton Genty.
This 100% feels like an Ashton Genty 7 yards in the whole game kind of game.
I mean, I'm willing to give him a little bit more than 7 yards, but maybe less than 7 fantasy points.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that. I was just saying that because that Thursday game he had, he gets all this hype and he ran for 7 yards.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
And this is not going to be the bench. Rachaad White has 30 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. Looks like he had a great fan. The Raiders aren't scoring 3 times on Denver.
No, and you have a much better chance of those touchdowns being Brock Bowers or like Trey Tucker.
Unless Denver has a huge game next week and they just like, oh, this is a trap game.
It's divisional.
Yeah, that's
which
true.
could work either way, honestly, in your argument. Now that I say that.
They do play. So Denver played. Oh, they played Washington last week. Who did they take them to the brink? They got Green Bay next week, so uncommon opponent, but a tough matchup. I don't think they're looking ahead.
No, I mean I'm with you with Sid Ashton Genty if you can, but I'm also not forcing him out of my lineup. Like, my running back sit. Before we knew more about Trey Benson, I put in here Cardinals running backs. I think we can kind of knock that down to being Bam Knight against the Rams. I think he's touchdown dependent. Honestly, Bam Knight has been touchdown dependent for the last like month. He's just been scoring a lot of them, which the Cardinals are really good at feeding running backs touchdowns, it seems like. But in this matchup, I just can't see playing him unless you're in a situation like Cody said, where it's like maybe you're missing Chuba or Rico Dowdle and Christian McCaffrey. He's definitely somebody who can go in your flex or such if you need that, but I'm avoiding it if I can.
Yeah, I like that. Throwing it back to Ashton Genty, would you start Devin Neal or Christian Rodriguez over Genty? Well, I have to say yes because I literally said that I played Rodriguez. Devin Neal, that's like a coin flip for me.
Mm-hmm.
But Rodriguez, the way he's been playing, the way the Denver's defense is, I actually think I would.
Yeah, I would say yes, Rodriguez. I think Neal's a coin flip also. I want to believe in Neal. It's just the only person I feel like I can believe in that Saints offense is Chris Olave because he's been like the calming force and everyone else has been very inconsistent. So high hopes for Neal, but not forcing that one.
All right. And then our friend Kempy over here just, wrecking the show. We're talking Sits, and he goes, favorite TV broadcast crew, Prime, Fox, CBS, NBC, ESPN. So if people aren't as familiar, Prime is Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. Fox would be Brady and Burkhart. CBS would be Nance and Romo. NBC is Tirico and Collinsworth. And then ESPN is Aikman and Joe Buck. Do you want to rank these? Are you able to do that on the fly? Or you just want to pick your best?
No, I'll rank them on the fly, sure. So
you want to go 5-1?
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Because you want to go 1, 2, 3, or you just want to go back and forth?
Let's go back and forth.
All right.
You go first.
Number 5, I'm putting Prime.
I'm also putting Prime, and I hate it because I like Al Michaels, but I think he's kind of like run his course, and then you give him these bad games, and it's not doing him any favors.
Yeah, I think
I like him better on Sunday Night Football.
Kirk has gotten better, but I am putting Prime easy 5.
Yeah.
All right. You can go first for 4.
It's a toss up between two of them. I'm going to put ESPN here because I'm not a Joe Buck guy.
Okay. That's understandable. I am going to put his former employee and put Fox here.
Mm-hmm.
Burkhart is pretty good. Brady is still learning the ropes. I really liked Greg Olsen. I think they have the best number 2 crew, but this is the top crew. So
I agree about that number 2 crew. They're definitely on top. Number 3, I guess you're first.
This is where I'll go CBS.
Okay, that's where I'm also going here.
All right,
Romo was good to me for like a year, and then he sounds like you trying to podcast.
I'll take that as a compliment. Number 2?
I'm going to Fox.
I'm going NBC.
Okay.
Only because I think Al Tirico is really good. Collinsworth, he's funny, but he has his quirky moments.
Yeah.
So that leaves.
I have Here's a Guy at number 1, NBC,
and I have ESPN.
Mm-hmm. I don't blame you for putting ESPN up there. Like I debated because they're just a solid crew, but it's just something about I don't like them. I've never been a Joe Buck guy.
I understand. I think Buck and Aikman are some of the best. I like them better on Fox, for what it's worth, just because that was more accessible. Like I missed some Monday night games. I'm not gonna lie. But they would probably be my favorite crew. I guess in fairness, I should have taken into consideration some of the sideline reporters. Like I don't know all of them. I can't do all of them off the top of my head. You got Aaron Andrews at Fox. Was it Susie Oliver, NBC? Tom Rinaldi. He might also be Fox as well. They might have 2 with a number 1.
It might be that headliner number 2 crew.
No, I think they have 1 on each side for the number 1 crew.
Got it.
I couldn't tell you who the prime one is And NBC, I mentioned that yeah, doesn't matter. What a tangent we just went on. People probably like, bro, get back to the start sit. So Kempy helped us out. Got it. Starts ESPN, NBC, sit prime, Zero Super Revenge. Nice.
Yep. Love it.
All right. I'm going to go back to my sit at wide receiver, and I'm going with Amical Pittman Jr. because the Google Doc autocorrected Michael to Amicable. But I'm sitting.
This is a very friendly sit. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, very friendly sit. Amical Pittman Jr. We got word jokes now. This show is off the rails. But yeah, the Colts are struggling. Daniel Jones is definitely playing hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to sit Michael Pittman against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's hard to do because he's like wide receiver 14 on the year right now, but I know I'm sitting him in a league or two for like Cortland Sutton and etc. just because it's a sketchy situation in Indy. I hope that they find space for Jonathan Taylor because he's definitely the most important fantasy asset, but it's been even tough sledding for him since we've seen Daniel Jones kind of falling off.
Let's just say Michael Pittman hasn't scored more than 10 points since we hit double-digit weeks.
It's a crazy drop-off. It's like we went from 2025 Michael Pittman back to 2023 Michael Pittman.
Yeah. And the way Daniel Jones looks, I think they're like one hit away, which they always are, but it just feels more like they're one hit away from an Anthony Richards starting.
At least he's back from his severe rubber band incident.
So who do you got as your sit?
My sit is, it's going to sound bad because it's somebody we just, advise somebody to play, but sometimes you're in a situation where you have to. Deebo Samuel versus Minnesota. The matchup is great, but I just saw how much they were peppering targets to Terry McLaurin. Obviously, Zach Ertz definitely gets involved when it's Marcus Mariota in there. It's just not a lot to go around to Deebo.
For what it's worth, this is the one that I saw it, and I was like, man, I actually debated putting him as my flex start this week because the matchup is so good. So a little bit of that similar thought process for me as you had with Swift, just flipped.
Swift, yep. So you and I are actually disagreeing more times than usual on this episode. So that's interesting coming into a pivotal week.
Oh, great. We don't agree. That's a first.
All right, you got your flex.
All right, mine has an asterisk here, but you might not have a choice. And that's what the problem is. And I wanted to talk about this. And it's Ladd McConkey. With the chance of no Justin Herbert, I'm scared to play Ladd McConkey. Now, I think Trey Lance could use him as a safety blanket, but he could also use Gadsden as that if he does get the start. And I just have a hard time believe that Herbert is going to play, and he plays Monday. So I don't know how you're going to roll into Monday night with Ladd McConkey in your lineup with a Trey Lance. That scares me. Now, I'm not saying getting crazy like bench Ladd McConkey for, I don't know, Jordan Addison, right? Like he's just been so bad as of late, or Isaac Tesla tonight with Amon-Ra St. Brown or something like that. But Ladd McConkey scares me a lot. He's been up and down, inconsistent. He had a good couple of weeks, and then he's kind of fallen back off a little bit. I think it's going to be a run-heavy game, and that scares me too. So I'm saying sit Ladd and all the Chargers wide receivers. Obviously, someone's going to have to catch the ball. I get that, but not great.
All right, let's play everyone's favorite game of who would you play? So I got Ladd McConkey in the World Cup. Luckily for me, this week doesn't matter. I'm locked in the playoffs and no shot at a bye. But Ladd McConkey or Jordan Addison?
Ladd
McConkey, or if he goes, Marvin Harrison.
Marvin Harrison if he goes.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, though. Ladd McConkey or double tight end Dalton Kincaid?
Who's your other tight end?
Kyle Pitts.
So you're saying Kyle Pitts and Kincaid? Or it's like you... Bro, what? This
is a playoff team. I'm also starting Ken Walker.
Oh, George ain't winning the Couch Jams World Cup, that's for sure.
Jahmyr Gibbs and Jonathan Taylor have gotten me far.
Okay, George is winning the Couch Jams World Cup. I'd probably play McConkey over a double tight end. Nope, I take that back. I'm playing Kincaid. I told you last week about the tight ends against Cincinnati.
Yep.
Now maybe
Well,
I'd play
really
McConkey over Kyle Pitts.
Kincaid goes. Yeah, if Kincaid goes, he's probably my starting tight end, but then it's Kyle Pitts' is question.
Yeah, I'd play McConkey over Pitts.
Okay. Let's just see if there's anyone fun. So we got Jaden Higgins on free agency.
I'd play Higgins.
Okay. I guess last shot here, Jordan Mason, if there is no Aaron Jones.
Dude, I don't know if the Vikings offense is going to score a touchdown.
All right, final guy, Bam Knight.
Bam Knight, we talked about him, but he gets the Ram. I guess Lad in that situation.
This is a lovely time. Absolutely lovely time.
At least, why am I blanking right now? The Jaden Higgins one is interesting because that's the Sunday night game. Mm-hmm. And like you might hear more by, Jay Glazer on the OT wrap up after the Fox game. You hear, oh, Justin Herbert is going to play tomorrow. Oh, then you can pivot Lad McConkey. Or here, he's not going to play tomorrow. Then you can pivot. So Higgins might be a guy I might snag for a last minute switch or something like that.
Okay. All right, let's see here. One more sit flex for me, and he honestly might not play because he still hasn't practiced with a foot injury, but Roma Dunze against Green Bay. Matchup's not great. Roma Dunze hasn't scored more than 10 half PPR points since week 10. I don't have a lot of faith in the passing game for the Bears, even though they're a number 1 seed. And I don't really want to go on much more of a Bears tangent, but I'll say it again. Caleb Williams isn't playing good.
Yeah, I think Roma Dunze is interesting. The foot injury definitely makes it tough for him to play.
I mean, I'll double down and say don't play DJ Moore either, even if Roma Dunze doesn't go.
Okay. I would play them both over Lad McConkey. So take that for what it's worth.
All right. It's a very high bar.
Fan question.
Cool.
Do I risk Amon-Ra tonight, worried his snap count will be limited since he hasn't practiced, unless I'm misinformed?
We know very little. If you still are here, can you drop a couple of your other options in the chat? And Cody and I can do a little bit more of a debate, but I think in a lot of cases, I'm still rolling Amon-Ra.
Yeah, I'm without knowing the rest of the players on who your like pivot options would be. I know I have to remember to go and put Amon-Ra back in my lineup in a league after we're done recording this. So like, I think the snaps will be limited, but I think the important snaps is where he's going to still thrive. Like if they get in the red zone, like I think he'll be a target. If they need first downs, like I think he'll be a target. He might not be out there every play, but I think those big catches could be in the moment. Like we're going to do a Thursday night preview, but basically the winner of this game, or the loser of this game, is essentially eliminated from the playoffs. So like that's a big reason why he's gutting it out. He has the 10 days to recover, but like this is almost a must-win game for both Dallas and Detroit at this point.
It really is. And it's crazy to think that Detroit's that close to elimination, but they really are because of tiebreakers and the fact that like the Cowboys are pushing back and they're in their division.
Yes. New York Times simulator playoff predictor, whatever you want to call it. Loser of this game, I think one's 10%, one's 9%. Basically, both are a 10% chance to make the playoffs if they lose this game.
Crazy how the NFC and even the AFC have broken out this year.
All right. I think we got through our starts in the sit. You ready to hit some streams?
Let's do it. All right, streams of the week. We do a quarterback, a tight end, and a defense who are fairly widely available, at least 60% or less on NFL.com is usually at you for our baseline. I normally start this one off. I'll go to quarterback first, and I'll do Sam Darnold versus Atlanta. Darnold has been, up and down, but for the most part, he's been pretty solid floor-wise, around that 15, 16 points. Good matchup against Atlanta.
I really like that one. I know he's under the threshold, but he's owned in every league that I'm a part of. So
Yeah,
that
right.
was a tough stream for me. I'm gonna go Mariota versus Minnesota Vikings. And I know George put Debo in a sit. I put Chris Rodriguez in the flex. Maybe it's something to do with this Minnesota Vikings team. But Mariota played decent enough against the Denver Broncos. I think he can play well against the Minnesota Vikings and could be a solid start. And he does still have a little bit of rushing threat left in him. Not as much as he once did, but there is that little bonus kicker, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it there either. Obviously, you have to still watch out, though, to see if Jaden Daniels randomly pops up and he says he's playing, and check if he's available regardless, because maybe someone good to stash on the bench if not.
All right. Who do you got at tight end?
I got one of the waiver darlings this week, Brenton Strange versus Indy. He's been very good since he's been back. I know the matchup's not great, but it's a tight end, so we just play him.
Yeah, I like Brenton Strange a lot this week. I don't know who to pick at tight end. I never do. I just throw a dartboard, and today it landed on Dallas Goedert versus the Los Angeles Chargers. I know the Eagles' pass game has not been great. The Chargers' defense has actually been pretty good, but if there is no Justin Herbert, you have to think that limits their offensive opportunities, and maybe Goedert gets a couple extra catches. So,
jump to a fan question really fast.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go.
Something we forgot at the top of the show. Mark Andrews got a contract extension.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like Isaiah Likely is going to be elsewhere next year. So maybe that plays in. I know, obviously, neither of them are streams of the week, but that is something to be fascinating to see as we break out, and something we forgot to put at the news topic.
Yeah, I mean, Isaiah Likely, I have to think, has quite a bit of upside if you put him on the right situation. We've seen some of these guys in Kansas City, but I mean, with Kelsey going out. But I mean, we've seen some guys where it's like they don't do much most of their career. They go into the right situation, they're great. Look at what Miami did for
Jonnu.
Yeah, Jonnu. Thank you.
Or Darren Waller. To have you want.
Waller was great before and then wasn't good, but now he's great again. So,
yeah. All right, now let's
potential too. There you go. Okay, so we're going back to the Amon-Ra question. We have context now on some guys that could go in the lineup other than Amon-Ra. So he has Keenan Allen, Jacoby Myers, Xavier Worthy, Parker Washington. Myers is a lock. I agree. Myers is the lock in there. I'm assuming we're looking for one more wide receiver.
Yeah, I think I'm rolling Amon-Ra in that situation.
Yeah, I would maybe debate Keenan Allen if there was Herbert. I'm not doing that with the question marks. Parker Washington probably isn't going to play. Xavier Worthy is way more boom than bust, and the floor is not there. So,
and he's playing Houston, one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah, no. I'm rolling Amon-Ra with Jacoby Myers.
Sweet. You got your defense stream?
I do, and I mean, depending on your situation, you can probably run with this anyway. But this is a multi-week Eagles defense versus the Chargers. If there's no Herbert, and we know that before the game, before the Sunday games kick off, great streaming defense option. And then they have the Raiders coming up as well. So another great team that you can play them against coming off the wire.
I'm going to go with Cleveland versus the Tennessee Titans. The two rookie quarterbacks.
The fact that Cleveland's actually under 60% owned with how good their defense is shocking to me. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah. And Myles Garrett's only 4. I guess he's 5 sacks, 4.5 from tying, 5 sacks away from breaking the record. I think he gets at least 3 this week. That'll help your defense.
Yeah. 3, I think. I mean, he's gotten 5 a couple times this year? It's possible.
Yeah. I mean, it's week 14. They've already had their bye, and he's sitting at 18. The record's 22.5.
Ridiculous how kind of a season he's having.
Yeah. So, I like that. All right. We're out of bumpers, but we're not out of show. You ready to talk games of the week?
We are not out of bumpers. You actually finally made this.
Did I? And I forgot?
Yeah.
Oh, that's embarrassing. Here we go.
I guess I want to jump in first with games of the week because Cody likes to throw all his honorable mentions. I want to make sure he doesn't steal my game.
Go
So
for it.
I am looking at some Bengals action to see if they can stay alive against the Buffalo Bills. I think just plenty of storylines with the Bills also trying to make sure they stay in the playoff race. They're also on the bump on the bubble. So important game for both teams.
No, I think that's a great game. Kind of surprised it's going to be at 1:00. It just feels like it should have, be a later game. But
I think they didn't flex it because they weren't sure if Burrow was going to be back.
I'm surprised it wasn't in a primetime spot to begin with.
Fair.
And then that's kind of where I'm at. But no, Cincinnati Buffalo, great 1:00 game. You don't see that very often. But you got it. You got a fantastic one. Like George mentioned, I have a couple honorable mentions, and there's 3 key divisional matchups that I'm paying attention to. That is obviously Packers Bears. We talked about that for the number 1 seed. Colts Jacksonville, we talked about them, and then you have to be watching Baltimore and Pittsburgh, as Baltimore is trying to get back in the race, catching Pittsburgh in that one. So 3 of those to pay attention to. If I want to throw the Sunday night game, Houston and Kansas City, that defense, Kansas City needs to win to keep their hopes alive. There's a lot of playoff things as we're getting closer. But my game of the week kicks off in 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
This Lions-Cowboys game, I think, is going to be the best non-Thanksgiving Thursday game of the season. Remember, both teams are playing off of Thanksgiving, so they got the full week. This isn't a short week. They got the full week to recover, to get healthy. Dallas is playing good football right now. Detroit has struggled, but they're back at home after losing on Thanksgiving. We talked about them getting Amon-Ra St. Brown back, even if it is in a limited capacity. I mentioned earlier, loser of this game basically has a 10% chance to make the playoffs. I can't remember a non-Thanksgiving game having this much of an impact on a Thursday night game.
On a Thursday night, especially not. And I think the thing that helps your case is that they were smart to give both these teams a full week coming off of Thanksgiving. And it just happened to work out that the Cowboys are making this big push comeback to make this intriguing. If it was Lions versus, 3-7-1 Cowboys, it would feel a lot less intriguing. But I mean, on top of that, we have a lot of big fantasy assets in this game too. CD and Pickens and Javonte, and I'm starting Dak in a couple places too. Lions side, we were talking about Amon-Ra, and if you go with him, Jamison Williams put himself right in conversation. Can Jahmyr Gibbs win me a fantasy championship? There's so many layers to why this is a great game.
All right, and this game I'm looking most forward to. The Cowboys already beat the Eagles. They're only a game behind them. The Eagles have a big matchup on Monday Night Football against the Chargers, who have, the same record. They just don't know if they're going to have the quarterback. So there's just a lot of fascinating tools about it. Obviously, as an NFC North fan, I have extra rooting interest, but I hate rooting for the Cowboys. So I don't know how I'm going to watch this game, to be honest with you. It's going to hurt my soul. I'm rooting for nobody.
That was me on Thanksgiving watching Cowboys Chiefs.
So yeah, I think that is, and basically our Thursday night preview as well, as we talk about this game. I don't remember what the over-under is for this one. Do you happen to have that statistic?
I do not, but check out our fan question quick while I look that up if you don't mind. I think we got on here. Yep.
All right, so he's dropping 10 now. Understandable. Picking up Singletary and hoping Tracy is out post bye. Sure.
I don't think Tesla has any value now that we're seeing Amon-Ra back.
Honestly, though, if I were you, just thinking a little bit, depending on how your league works, but most leagues you can drop bench players if they're on the bench, even if that team has already played. So since Singletary is on bye with the Giants, he'll be available to pick up Sunday night, Monday. Maybe go for another handcuff to wait and see. Maybe like a Blake Corum if he's out there. I don't know if he's out there just because of the Kyron Williams being a little bit banged up, or maybe take another flyer on somebody else. It doesn't work out, then you pick Singletary up on Sunday night or even Monday because he'll probably still be available if he's available at this point.
I agree with that. That's a smart way to manipulate your bench and give yourself another shot of beating a waiver wire.
Yeah. Did you find that statistic?
I did. So it is Lions favored by 3.5 and a juicy 55.5 point over under.
Okay.
55.5 is big.
55.5 is big. I'm taking the under on this one.
Honestly, these games, it helps that it is a full week. It's not a true Thursday. But a lot of times you see games with these offenses come out and then it's like they underwhelm a little bit.
And I know Jahmyr Gibbs is a different animal, arguably the best running back in football this season. However, since the Quinnen Williams trade, the Cowboys are number one against the run.
Good thing he catches passes.
So just keep that in mind as well. And another question about this game. Evening Gents from Trey over on YouTube. Since the Sun God is active, help me out. Start three. Sun God, Jameson, Devonta Smith, or Cortland Sutton. All right, so you just said 55.5 points, but are you willing to play two Lions players?
I mean, honestly, I'm leaning sitting Devonta Smith.
Okay. You're the Eagles fan. I was going to ask how his injury was doing.
I mean, he played through it last week. I think it's no problem. He's going to play, but it seems like I don't have much faith that it's going to get that much better that fast. So right now, it's AJ Brown or bust because he's been the guy who's the passing game has been running through. And then obviously you can still play Saquon, but it's been very ugly.
Yeah, so I think I'm with you. I'm going to sit Devonta Smith. Kind of just looking at it like it's really between which wide receiver two, Jameson Williams, Devonta Smith in this situation. And you think that Jameson might actually be wide receiver one this week. So then it would be between Amon-Ra and Devonta Smith. And I think either way, they both went out just the way these teams are playing. So good luck.
I mean, just to give you any more confidence to say, like, to back up the play two Lions receivers, I'm not playing two Lions receivers anywhere, but I am playing Jared Goff over Matt Stafford in our league of record in a essentially playoff game for Cody against him. So I have faith in that Jared Goff-led offense against that Cowboys defense.
Well, I hope everything I just said is wrong then because I want to make the playoffs, but I think that's a smart play. So I like that. But George, we are over an hour. Football is going to start here soon. Any last words you want to get off your chest?
Good luck going into your final week of the fantasy regular season. We're always here to answer your questions and looking forward to talking you some fantasy playoffs and some Couch GM's World Cup qualifiers next week.
Absolutely. Like George said, best of luck to anybody out there that is playing for a chance to get in. Do a belt, trophy, or just bragging rights. The best time when you get that dub. As always, you can check out the Couch GMs on Mondays and Thursdays, live, 6:30 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, in the podcast feeds the next morning. Hit us up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, all those good places. I'm Cody Roadcap. That's George Kurth. And we will talk to you all next week.